I never imagined that an ordinary evening could quietly dismantle the life we had built together. At the time, it felt like just another disagreement the kind couples survive all the time. Only later did I understand how quickly one careless moment can expose cracks that have been forming for years. My name is Elena. I'm 30 years old, and until that night, I was convinced my relationship with Ryan was unbreakable. We had been together for nearly 5 years and shared an apartment for half of that time. Our routines were familiar, comforting, and predictable in the best way. Ryan was steady where I was emotional, calm where I was reactive. He listened more than he spoke, rarely lost his temper, and always tried to meet me with understanding, even when I didn't make it easy. I loved him for that steadiness, but I didn't realize how often I leaned on it without giving much back. That evening, we were both exhausted. Work had been overwhelming, my patience was thin, and I felt misunderstood in ways I couldn't clearly explain. We were alone at home, surrounded by the quiet hum of an ordinary night. The disagreement started small, almost insignificant. A call he didn't return, a task he forgot to finish, plans for the weekend that didn't align. None of it mattered on its own, but together it stirred something sharp inside me. As the conversation dragged on, my frustrations spilled over. I wanted a reaction, some spark, something to release the tension I felt building in my chest. Without thinking, I crossed a line I didn't even realize I had been approaching for a long time. At least Daniel knew how to step up, I said, referring to someone from my past. You just shut down when things get difficult. The silence that followed was immediate and heavy. I expected Ryan to sigh, maybe shrug it off the way he usually did when I said things I later regretted. Instead, I watched his posture change. His shoulders stiffened, his face went still, and his eyes darkened with something I hadn't seen before. It wasn't anger. It was restraint, and somehow that was worse. I panicked and tried to backtrack, forcing out a laugh that sounded wrong even to my own ears. I told him I didn't mean it, that I was stressed, that I loved him. The words felt rushed and hollow as they left my mouth. Ryan didn't respond. He turned away from me and walked to the window, staring out as if the world outside suddenly required his full attention. The distance between us felt enormous, even though I was only a few steps away. Ryan, I said, moving closer. You're taking this too seriously. It was just said in the heat of the moment. He turned slowly, his expression controlled but resolute. It's not just tonight, he said quietly. It's the pattern. It's the way you talk to me when you're upset. Comparing me to someone you used to love makes me feel small, like I'm always being measured and found lacking. The realization hit me hard. I tried to explain myself, to apologize properly this time, but the more I spoke, the more closed off he became. There was no yelling, no dramatic confrontation, just a calm finality that settled into the room like fog. Then he started picking up his keys, his wallet, his jacket. My heart raced as the seriousness of the moment finally sank in. Please don't leave, I said, my voice breaking. We can fix this. I didn't mean to hurt you. He shook his head gently. I've been trying to fix this for a long time. Tonight just made it clear to me. He walked past me and out the door. The click of it closing echoed through the apartment, louder than any argument ever could have been. I stood there frozen, surrounded by the sudden emptiness of the space we had shared. The hours that followed were unbearable. I called him again and again, sent messages filled with apologies and explanations, trying to convince him that my words didn't reflect my heart. There was no response. Each unanswered call made the silence heavier, more permanent. By morning, exhaustion and reality settled in. I finally understood that this wasn't about a single comment or one bad night. It was about the accumulation of moments when I had dismissed his feelings, relied on his patience, and assumed his calm meant he would never leave. I had mistaken restraint for weakness, steadiness for endurance, without limits. But his strength had always been quiet and deliberate, strong enough to walk away when respect was no longer present. Sitting alone, scrolling through photos of us smiling, traveling, building a life, I felt a deep, aching regret. Love hadn't disappeared overnight. Respect had eroded slowly, worn down by careless words and unexamined habits. That day, I replayed every interaction in my mind, recognizing the subtle signs I had ignored. The pauses, the forced smiles, the moments when his patience stretched just a little thinner each time. By evening, he still hadn't returned. The apartment felt unfamiliar, colder, and filled with the weight of consequences I couldn't undo with apologies alone. I learned then that words carry lasting power. They can heal, but they can also wound deeply and permanently. And once respect is lost, no amount of love can demand it back.